Welcome to the service clinic at Low Country Harley-Davidson. I'm Doc Harley. Customer comes in and says, my bike just doesn't idle right all the time. Sometimes it idles just fine. Other times it's a little bit faster. And when I get off the gas after I'm going down the highway, it takes it forever to come back down. So what affects the idle? We check the jetting twice. It's good. Intake seal leak? No. We don't have that. How about the ignition module itself? I've talked about some ignition sensors melting in the past. We take a look at it. Nope, everything looks good, and the diode in it is flashing when it's supposed to. So what else affects the idle of a Sportster? How about the vacuum-operated electronic switch? What is that? Let's talk about it. In 1984, Harley-Davidson decided to add the vacuum-operated electronic switch to the motorcycle. Why? Well, they wanted a little better control of the ignition. Before that, it was just flyweights. The mechanical flyweights come and start advancing the thing. So they wanted a little bit more control. They also wanted better gas mileage. If you're controlling the ignition better, you get better gas mileage. And that little guy, EPA, was creeping up the back door of Harley-Davidson, and so they were trying to get ahead of it. So from 1984 to 2003, on carbureted motorcycles, you have the vacuum-operated electronic switch. What does this do? All right, where is it located? Let's talk about it. It's right behind the carburetor, really close to the top of the frame. Why do I know that? Because every one of these comes with a short little hose, and it's connected to either the manifold or the carburetor. If you have it to the manifold, like this Sportster, to an S&S manifold, they've blocked off the carburetor one. You can't have both of them open at the same time. So I have a small hose, and then the electronic control connection is right behind this petcock. So we're connected to the ignition system, and this is connected to the manifold. So at normal idle or starting, this is normally open. It's an electronic switch inside. Well, I don't know about electronic, but it's definitely put on and off with the vacuum. It has a connection inside. When it's not running or when you're about to start it, it's in retard mode. It's open. But when you start giving it the gas and start leaving, then it closes when the vacuum gets to 3.5 to 4.5 inches of mercury for a Sportster. On a touring machine, it's a little bit closer to 4.5 to 5.5. Why? Because you want the motorcycle to stay in retard a little bit longer with the heavier motorcycle. So what does this do? Well, one end of the electrical connection is connected to the ground frame, the other one to the ignition box. When it closes, it grounds that system and tells the ignition system, hey, let's go to advanced mode. And then when the vacuum gets less, then it opens it up and goes to retard. So how do we know if this is what's causing our idle problem? Well, the first thing to do is really simple. Unplug it and then start your motorcycle. Does it idle really nice? Yeah, okay. Rev it up a little bit, let go. Does it come back to idle really well? Yeah. All right, so we need to investigate this little guy. First thing I would do is on the earlier models, you have a lead with a male spade that goes into the ignition wiring, and the other one has a round connecting terminal. Follow it. Find out where this is at, because the older the motorcycle, the more rust this gets in the way, and it can't ground when it's supposed to. There's a resistance to it. So check your ground really well. Even on this system, find out where the wire goes to the ground and check it out. Disconnect it. Usually it is connected around the engine mount, the crossover between the two cylinders. Take the 1/2 inch out, bring it over to your desk. Now you're going to need to have a meter and a little vacuum machine. We call this a Mighty Vac. Automotive people have been using it for years, but we need something that will pull from 0 to 10 inches of mercury. We don't want some big heavy brake bleeder to use. It's got to be a really fine tune. So we got to get to the two leads on this one. This one is not that hard to do. Let me grab my screwdriver here. All right, so I'm going to take the weather stripping off of it. And then I'm going to pry just a little bit and pry that up. So now I have the connectors inside, and I doubt the camera's going to find it, but inside is small little latches. And I'm going to reach in with my flat tip and hopefully grab the latch and see if I can pull out the lead. Comes out the other side where there is weather stripping, and we'll do that with the other side. Go in, lift the lead, and pull it out. Okay, so now I got this both sides. So I'm going to turn my meter to ohms. I'm going to check, make sure it's open now. That's what I should see when I'm connected. And now I'm going to see where my meter is at. Okay, so now I'm going to hook up to one side and hook up to the other side. And it better be open. Yeah, so far we've got a good switch. I'm going to hook up the vacuum. All right, so in the manual it says 3.5 to 4.5. So now I'm going to bring this up, and we should see the meter when we get close to 3. Ah, there it goes. But it's kind of not really connecting that well. And that's the thing with this, is that we are looking at not 0, we're looking at some resistance, and that's telling me that the inside connectors are getting old. It's not zeroed out, it's a resistance, and so that confuses the ignition system. It says, am I on or am I off? I'm semi-on, I'm semi-off. So the first thing you want to do is see, is it coming in where it's supposed to? Is it? Okay, what's the connection like? Is my connections at the frame and at the ignition wires good? They are good. Then the connector inside this that happens with the vacuum is not really clean anymore, and it's confusing the ignition system. In the old days, some of the writers would say, oh, let's just throw this VOES out and just connect it to ground. Talk to any of the old timers that used to have a kick-only motorcycle with the distributor or magneto fully advanced. Yeah, your motorcycle does not want to start fully advanced, and it's going to get lousy gas mileage if you've got it always in advance. There was a reason for this switch and having that capability of retarded and advanced. So keep it. You can buy this. Drag Specialty sells them, and they sell them for the different models. They sell them for a 3 vacuum, a 4, a 5, or a 6. And you can match it up to your motorcycle after you look up the specifications in the manual. Now, I will give you a small tech tip. For those of you that are high-performance motorcycles and put a long-duration cam in, that can confuse the vacuum inside the manifold. These can be modified. Yeah, how do they do that? Well, okay, let me get the used one out here. It has this potting material. If you work at it really well, you can get the potting material out, and there's a screw. And if you have a Mighty Vac and a fantastic meter, you can hook this up and you can turn the screw so it comes on at 2, or maybe it comes on at 7. Find where it comes on and off for your long duration high performance cam. It can help you, but know this: after you do the adjustment, you have to silicone this up and let it sit and get hard, because this can suck air into it and confuse the whole thing. So if you're going to modify, you have to seal this end after you've modified if you're going to reuse it. Now, would I modify this to make this work better now? No, because the internal parts aren't connecting the way they should. So I'm going to replace this, and we're going to have a pretty good idling Sportster. I'm Doc Harley. Hope this helped. We'll see you next time.